Hi kids, I'm Miss Nancy. I do Once Upon a Truth Sunday School. I do it for kids and anybody that doesn't know the Bible well. You will learn, I promise. I've had this burden for a long time. I've taught for 30 years, so I feel like I'm qualified. If you parents want to take it serious, I would suggest getting a pen and a paper. Today's is going to be a little bit longer because I'm going to tell you what I'm about. If you keep a score, it's like making them accountable. Because if they have to go to school and learn and retain that knowledge, my heart's desire is for them to attain knowledge about the Lord and His Word. Everything I do is going to be from the King James Bible. Some of it will be word for word. But then at the end, I ask questions. So you might start out by helping them or by you writing it down so you can go back to it and ask them again. Just however you feel like you can do it and make it work for you. But anyway, pray about it is my desire. Thank you. So today's lesson is in the Old Testament in Joshua 10, and I call it The Prayer That Stopped the World. My pastor really gave me this title, and I love this story. So guys, get your ears on and your hearts open. It came to pass when Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, had heard how Joshua had taken Ai and had utterly destroyed it. Let me stop right there for a second. This is when the children of Israel is coming straight into the promised land, and they're having to go over and destroy everybody and some of the animals that was alive and take the cities. So he's already destroyed Jericho and Ai and had utterly destroyed it. As he had done to Jericho and her king, so he had done to Ai and her king, and how the inhabitants of Gibeon had made peace with Israel and were among them. And here's why he was setting this plan up, that they feared greatly because Gibeon was a great city, as one of the royal cities, and because it was greater than Ai, and all the men thereof were mighty. Wherefore Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, sent unto Hoham, king of Hebron, we'll go through this list 2 or 3 times if you want to mark it down, and unto Piram, king of Jarmuth, and to Japhia, king of Lachish, and unto Deber, king of Eglon, saying, so this king has called 4 other kings, and here's what he's wanting them to do. Come up unto me and help me, that we may smite Gibeon, for it hath made peace with Joshua and with the children of Israel. Therefore the 5 kings of the Amorites, which is the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon, gathered themselves together and went up, they and all their host, and encamped before Gibeon, and made war against them. And the men of Gibeon sent unto Joshua to the camp to Gilgal, saying, slack not thy hand from thy servants. Here's what they wanted him to do. Come up and help him. Come up to us quickly and save us and help us. 3 things. For all the kings of the Amorites that dwell in the mountains are gathered together against us. That's a big cause. I believe I'd be calling for help too from God's man. So Joshua ascended from Gilgal, he and all the people of war with him, and all the mighty men of valor. And the Lord said unto Joshua, fear them not, for I have delivered them into thine hand. There shall not a man of them stand before thee. Joshua therefore came unto them suddenly, and went from Gilgal all night. And the Lord discomfited them before Israel, and slew them. And kids always say slew means to kill. That's what he'd been ordered to do. Slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them along the way that goeth up to Beth-horon, and smote them to Azekah and to Makkedah. And it came to pass, as they fled before Israel, and were in the going down to Beth-horon, that the Lord cast down great stones from heaven upon them unto Azekah, and they died. Here's a cool fact, guys. There were more which died with the hailstones than they whom the children of Israel slew with the sword. Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. Here's the prayer that stopped the world. I love this, guys. And he said in the sight of Israel, sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, and here's why. until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and hasted not to go down about a whole day. And listen, this, guys, you're going to love it. And there was no day like that before or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto a man, to the voice of a man. For the Lord fought for Israel. And Joshua returned, and all Israel with him, unto the camp of Gilgal. But these 5 kings fled and are found in the cave of Megiddo. And Joshua said, Roll great stones upon the mouth of the cave, and set men by it for to keep them. And stay ye not, but pursue after your enemies, and smite the hindmost of them. Suffer them not to enter into their cities. Here's why. For the Lord your God hath delivered them into your hand. And it came to pass, when Joshua and the children of Israel had made an end of slaying them with a very great slaughter, till they were consumed, that the rest which remained of them entered into the fenced cities. And all the people returned to the camp to Joshua at Megiddo in peace. None moved his tongue against any of the children of Israel. I don't guess I would either if I'd been in that situation. Then said Joshua, Open the mouth of the cave, and bring out those 5 kings unto me out of the cave. And they did so. And they brought forth the 5 kings unto him out of the cave. The king of Jerusalem, here goes the list again, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon, 5 kings. And it came to pass, when they brought out those kings unto Joshua, that Joshua called for all the men of Israel, and said unto the captains of the men of war which went with him, Come near, put your feet upon the necks of these kings. And they came and put their feet upon the necks of them. And Joshua said, Fear not, nor be dismayed. Be strong and of good courage. For thus shall the Lord do to all your enemies against whom ye fight. And afterward Joshua smote them, and slew them, and hanged them on 5 trees. And they were hanging upon the trees until the evening. And it came to pass at the time of the going down of the sun, that Joshua commanded, and they took them down off the trees, and cast them into the cave, wherein they had been hid, and laid great stones in the cave's mouth, which remain until this very day. And then Joshua and the children of Israel went from city to city after that, destroying everything that was there alive, because God had commanded him to. So Joshua, being obedient, he did what the Lord wanted him to. So now we're going to go on to the questions and answers. Who was the first king named of Jericho? Adonizedek. And what had he heard of Joshua? He had heard how he had destroyed Jericho and Ai, and how the Gibeonites had made friends with the Israelites so they could survive. And why did they fear greatly? Because Gibeon, the one they wanted to take down, was a huge city, like a royal city, and all of their men were very mighty men. So what was the plan that he came up with, Adonizedek? He said, I'm going to get me some help. So he sent for 4 other kings. And what did he want them to do? He wanted them to join him and help him fight against Gibeon, didn't he? So what did the 5 kings do? They went up and encamped around Gibeon, didn't they? And then what did they do? They made war. But what did the men of Gibeon do? They were smart men. Remember, they'd made a league with them to save their own lives. It was pretty good. They sent for Joshua because they needed help, didn't they? And what did Joshua do? He took all of his mighty men of valor, and he went up all night long to get there. And so, who else showed up on the scene about this time? The Lord did. And what did he do? He discomforted them. How did he do that? He chased them, and then what did he do? He cast big old hailstones down from heaven on them. Were more killed in the battle with swords, or was more killed by the hailstones? The hailstones. I knew you guys would know that. But when Joshua spoke to the Lord, when he delivered up the Amorites, he asked for something. What was it he asked for? Here's where the title comes in, the prayer that stopped the world. he said, sun, stand still upon Gibeon, and moon, stay in the valley of Ajalon. Did it happen? Well, yeah, it did, because God heard him. The sun stood still, and the moon was stayed. And why did Joshua ask the Lord for this to happen? So they could beat their enemies, so they'd have enough time before the sun went down that they could slay the rest of them. And how long was the sun and the moon still? About a whole day. And what does the Bible say about this day in the Bible? There's never been one like it before, and there will never be one like it, that he hearkened to a man's voice and did what he asked. Guys, when you pray to God, he created us, he created the world. He can stop the sun, the moon, the stars. He can make them fall. He can do whatever he wants to. And when you pray, you are talking to that man. Don't forget that. Anyway, so when Joshua and Israel returned to Gilgal, where was the 5 kings and what did they do with them? They were near that cave. And they put them in there, and Joshua said, put them in there, and put what at the door of the cave? A great big stone. He also said, set some men up there to watch them. So they did. And then they went on and wreaked havoc with the rest that was still up, wasn't it? So, when Joshua got to the cave, and he told the men, bring him out, what else did he do? He told these guys, he said, put your foot on their necks. And so they did. And then he said, this is how it's going to be with all your enemies, because God is on our side. And then what did he do? Joshua smote, which means hit, and slew these guys, and he put them back in the cave where they'd been hiding when they found them. And there they remain to this day. But what happened after all this? They kept going from town to town, city to city, and wreaking havoc and killing and slaying like the Lord had told him. Why did Joshua do that? Just what I said. God had commanded him to. Do you know what he commands us to do, kids? Go tell the world. Go tell the world about him. We're going to get into this deeper and deeper, and you'll learn so much more, and you'll be thankful you did. And you parents, give them a reward when they listen really good and pay attention. You can do 1 movie a month, or just get them a little something to eat that they love, or let them have a friend over. But if you reward them, they're going to learn it. God gives us good things all the time. So I'll see you next time. Bye.